Hi, and welcome back to Shrink by Quint. I'm glad you've joined me here today for part 2 of the section on AUD. How do I recognise if I have a problem? And if I do, what should I do? Let's take a moment to recap what we might call a previously on Shrink by Quint segment. So we've laid down the basics by defining what alcohol use disorder is and unpacking its far-reaching implications for individuals and for society. We've explored how the nature of addiction is really hard for a person to define. For ourselves, driven as we are by our innate desire to seek pleasure and avoid pain, which makes overcoming it incredibly challenging, especially in a world that constantly fuels these urges through advertising and social acceptance. And alcohol dependence is also incredibly hard for people to define for themselves, likened to a hall of mirrors. The journey into addiction is often a slow slide, shaped by a mix of genetic, environmental, and psychological factors, making it hard to pinpoint when casual drinking crosses the line into dependency. Some of the red flags we've looked at are Anna Lembke's 3 C's: craving, compulsion, and consequences. Spotting these signs early is key to seeking help and preventing more serious outcomes. AUD is a complex, progressive condition that demands a nuanced understanding and a compassionate approach. Whether you're grappling with it yourself or know someone who might be, gaining insight into this issue is the first step toward fostering healthier lives. As we move forward, let's delve deeper into how we can recognize if we have AUD, and secondly, what is the treatment? So, how do we recognize if you have AUD? Alcohol is intricately woven into our lives, whether it's celebrating a special occasion, unwinding after a long day, or, for some, serving as a coping mechanism. But how do we recognize in ourselves when casual drinking crosses the line into something more dangerous? In this episode, we'll walk into the Hall of Mirrors. How can you tell if you might be affected, and what steps can you take if you're concerned about your drinking habits? Let's cut to the chase with the 3 usual practical approaches. Self-assessment. Take a moment to honestly reflect on your relationship with alcohol. It might feel like navigating a hall of mirrors, but it's a crucial first step. Educate yourself, just as you're doing now. Gather information about AUD. Understanding the signs and risks is empowering. Seek outside perspective. Sometimes it's hard to see the full picture on your own. Reach out to someone you trust for their perspective on your drinking habits. But here's my number 4. It's not original, and it's a bit of an intervention, but deep breathe. Stop drinking for a while and find out what comes up. Now, in some cases, I've been told to say, medication might be recommended to help reduce cravings and manage withdrawal symptoms. That said, the route to sobriety often reveals lots of personal truths that would have remained hidden had you continued to drink. I'd like to introduce the adaptive response theory developed by a colleague, James Earle. In essence, it says much of our behavior is an adaptive response to how we have experienced life in the past, especially childhood. We self-soothe ourselves in a wide variety of ways, and alcohol is one of these. If most people started drinking in their teens, it's likely that some have used alcohol as a way to self-soothe from an early age. For many, it might have begun as a tool to manage social anxiety or navigate personal challenges. For most, alcohol remains just an option, a choice among many. But for others, it has evolved into something more, a vital crutch, a go-to method for coping with difficult life circumstances. Over time, it can become an almost automatic response to stress or hardship. The allure of alcohol is understandable. It's legal, socially accepted, and often feels effective in the moment. However, as we've seen, this progression can be difficult to control. What starts as a seemingly harmless habit can escalate into something that impacts on a person's quality of life, creating new problems even as it temporarily soothes old ones. Now, while the first 3 practical approaches of self-assessment, education, and seeking an outside perspective are really helpful, trying to examine the whys and wherefores of drinking while still drinking is like, and here comes a lazy metaphor, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. So yes, it's a bit hardcore, but, well, how does the thought of stopping drinking for a month make you feel? So let's do a thought experiment. I'll shut up for a minute and let Felix play some stock music while you think about it. Grab a pen and write down some thoughts that pop into your gorgeous head. What would happen if I stopped drinking for a month? Cue Felix. Welcome back. What came up for you? Did you feel resistant to the idea of stopping for a month? How would I cope for a month? I can't, not this month. I've got so-and-so's wedding. I've got a birthday. I've got a presentation, a business trip. I've got a bloody holiday next week. I'm not going to go on the wagon. What would my mates say? The thought you won't be able to relax or manage the stress and anxiety of your everyday life? Interesting thought experiment? So, what to do if you've taken the brave step of acknowledging that alcohol has become a problem in your life? Well, instead of framing it as quitting drinking, think of it as taking the time to explore why alcohol became such a routine part of your life. What led you to this point? What was the catalyst? First, revisit the idea of seeking an outside perspective. Reach out to someone who's successfully stopped drinking, whether a friend, an acquaintance, or, ideally, a doctor or a mental health professional. Don't hesitate to ask for help. They can offer guidance and help you assess your situation. Therapy is often a crucial part of this journey, and cognitive behavioral therapy is particularly effective. CBT can help you identify and change the thoughts and behaviors that have kept you tied to alcohol. Now remember, the opposite of addiction is connection. Support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous offer community and accountability, which can be incredibly helpful. Now, I can almost hear the eye rolls when AA is mentioned, but hear me out. Just give it a try. Attending an AA meeting doesn't mean you're making a lifelong commitment. You're rubbernecking. You're a tourist. Think of it as research. You'll get some insight, maybe a laugh. There are also thriving sober communities on social media platforms like Instagram, where you can connect with others who are on the same path. Alcohol, in many ways, is a straightforward issue because it's easy to identify. You can scale your drinking up or down, seek therapy, or join a 12-step program like AA. But rather than just repeating what you can easily find online, let me share my personal perspective as both a therapist and someone who's been sober for over a decade. When you're in that grey area of drinking, alcohol still takes up space in your life, and managing it becomes a constant mental burden. The endless internal debate, can I, can't I, should I, shouldn't I, takes so much headspace, so much cognitive bandwidth, that it distracts from the deeper work that needs to be done. It's exhausting and often leads back to drinking as a way to cope and relax, keeping you trapped in a cycle. Breaking free from that cycle is hard work, but it's worth it. The goal isn't just to stop drinking, it's to reclaim your mental space, your energy, and your life. A period of sobriety accomplishes several important things. First, it detoxifies your body's neurochemical system, allowing it to gradually return to a state of equilibrium. The time this takes can vary, but within a week or two, most people start to notice significant changes. One of the most common experiences is a noticeable drop in stress and anxiety levels. Many people don't realize that it was the alcohol itself that was contributing to their heightened anxiety. The constant ebb and flow of alcohol in their system kept stress levels artificially high as the body struggled to manage its effects. When you stop drinking, it becomes easier to see that alcohol was the symptom, not the root problem. The underlying reasons for your drinking, whether they're emotional, psychological, or situational, begin to surface. These reasons can vary from person to person, but the key here is to reframe the why behind your drinking and approach it with honesty. If we agree that drinking is a form of self-soothing, as we mentioned before, the real question becomes, what are you trying to soothe? When you remove alcohol from the equation, what emotions or issues come to the forefront? Continuing to drink only denies you the chance to address these underlying anxieties in healthier and more appropriate ways. So these two approaches, detoxifying your body and confronting the reasons behind your drinking, can and often do overlap. It might be helpful to seek out a therapist during this time. I'd also recommend checking out an AA meeting, even just to observe. The most important step is to give yourself a period of sobriety so you can reevaluate your situation, honestly and clearly. If you find that you enjoy being sober and appreciate the benefits that come with it, losing weight, clearer skin, better sleep, then you're on the right path. Sobriety can offer a clearer perspective on your life and a healthier way forward. Now I want to quickly address a common misconception about sobriety. Many people assume that living sober is synonymous with boredom and restrictions. However, it's actually the life of an alcoholic that tends to be monotonous and limited. An alcoholic's daily routine can resemble Groundhog Day, waking up, feeling terrible, anticipating the next drink, maintaining a cycle of drinking until passing out. This repetitive pattern often leads to loss of control and making regrettable decisions. In contrast, a sober person wakes up each day feeling refreshed and more or less optimistic, at least not hungover, free from the aftermath of alcohol. They have the freedom to engage in fulfilling and rewarding activities without the burden of a bloody hangover. This freedom extends throughout the day and continues over weeks and months and years of sobriety. Sobriety isn't just about staying on the straight and narrow. It involves facing and overcoming personal challenges, engaging in self-discovery, and enjoying a wealth of opportunities that alcohol dependency precludes. To wrap up this two-part monologue on alcohol use disorder and the challenging journey of understanding whether you might be affected by it, let's highlight some key takeaways. AUD is characterized by uncontrollable urges to drink, habitual overindulgence, and a significant impact on various aspects of life, including personal relationships and professional responsibilities. Recognizing the signs and consequences of AUD is crucial for anyone questioning their relationship with alcohol. If you're noticing that alcohol is taking a toll beyond just your wallet, affecting your well-being, relationships, or work, it's time to take a closer look at your situation. Understanding the detrimental cycle of loss of control, compulsive behaviors, and enduring negative consequences is an essential step forward to addressing the issue. Engaging with resources like this podcast, reflecting honestly on your drinking patterns, and seeking professional advice are vital steps towards understanding and potentially overcoming AUD. Remember, sobriety isn't about restriction. It's about freeing yourself from cycles that hold you back, opening doors to growth, health, and fulfillment. Whether you're exploring these issues out of curiosity or concern, taking the time to understand alcohol's impact on your life is commendable and a crucial step towards healthier living. Now, let me say this. You're bloody brilliant. You stuck with this because you care about what makes you tick and want to understand the role alcohol plays in your life. You're on a journey of self-discovery and maybe even considering a change of direction. Acknowledging that there might be an issue isn't a sign of weakness. It's a brave and crucial first step. Good luck on this journey. And as I raise a glass of soda water and lime, here's looking at you, kid. Cheers to your courage and curiosity. Thank you for tuning in to Shrink by Quint. Remember, your well-being is a cornerstone of a fulfilling life, because your health truly is your wealth.